The real Texas beyond cowboys and barbecue. Everyone thinks they know Texas. Cowboys, barbecue, big trucks, right? But most people are seeing the loudest version of Texas, not the real one. The real Texas is hiding in plain sight, filled with secret corners, ancient landscapes and surreal places so underrated, they feel like glitches in the matrix. While influencers flood the same overhyped spots, Texas keeps its most magical destinations quiet. These are places where nature still whispers, history isn't edited for Instagram, and the crowds haven't arrived yet. Once people catch on, these gems are going viral, and the peace and mystery might vanish forever. If you're the kind of traveler who wants more than postcards, who wants soul silence and stories you can feel in your bones, this guide was made for you. You're about to discover the side of Texas no one warned you about. 4 vast ecosystems in one state, Texas, isn't just tumbleweeds and cowboys. It's 4 ecosystems packed into one state. From humid pine forests in the east to sunburnt deserts in the south, from rocky mountain ranges out west to open prairies up north. You can go from kayaking through lush bayous near Houston to hiking high-altitude desert trails in a day's drive. Imagine waking up surrounded by towering pines in the piney woods, then rolling into dusty West Texas by lunchtime, ready for stargazing. No other state lets you experience humid bayous, sun-baked canyons, fossilized reefs, and breezy prairies within a single vacation. It's a living geography lesson without ever leaving the Lone Star State. Big Bend National Park's ancient desert. Big Bend isn't just a desert. It's a living museum carved by time and silence. Stretching across more than 324,000 hectares, this Chihuahuan desert cradles the ancient Chisos Mountains and some of the most surreal landscapes you'll ever see. This remote corner feels like the edge of the world. You're standing where pterosaurs once flew. The largest pterosaur fossil ever found was discovered here. Big Bend is officially one of the darkest places in the continental US, making it a stargazer's paradise. Imagine laying back, miles from any city light, watching the Milky Way stretch horizon to horizon. Hike the Lost Mine Trail for jaw-dropping views, or float down the Rio Grande through Santa Elena Canyon. For photographers, sunrise at the Window Trail or dusk over Emery Peak is non-negotiable. Palo Duro Canyon's prehistoric palette, called the Grand Canyon of Texas, Palo Duro is where Earth's history is painted in red, orange, and gold across 250 million years of sediment. As the second largest canyon in the US, it's a geological diary with fossils of ancient mosasaurs and dinosaur bones embedded like hidden messages. Mountain bike the Lighthouse Trail, go horseback riding along the canyon floor, or catch an open-air musical at the Pioneer Amphitheater. Visit in spring or fall when the colors are richest. Standing in a place that predates us by hundreds of millions of years reminds us our problems are tiny, and that's oddly comforting. Guadalupe Mountains and Fossil Reefs. The Guadalupe Mountains rise like ancient sentinels, guarding Texas's northwest frontier. Home to the state's highest peak, you're hiking through one of the world's oldest fossilized coral reefs. What now towers above the desert once lay beneath a vast inland sea. McKittrick Canyon erupts in fiery autumn hues, crimson leaves against rugged limestone cliffs. There's a meditative calm here you won't find elsewhere. The air is drier, the silence deeper, the sky somehow more infinite. Marine fossils embedded in the rocks create a surreal history lesson. Fredericksburg's German-Texan fusion. Fredericksburg is where Texas meets Bavaria. Founded by German immigrants in the 1800s, it still wears its heritage proudly, with timbered buildings and bratwurst stands. It's the heart of Texas wine country, with over 50 vineyards nearby, perfect for sipping local blends, surrounded by rolling hills and wildflowers. The Oktoberfest here is legendary with live polka and dancing in the streets. The National Museum of the Pacific War offers a deep dive into World War II history. Strolling Main Street at dusk, with twinkling lights and sweet smells from family bakeries, conversations start with howdy and end with a hug. Blanco and Pedernales Rivers. The Blanco and Pedernales Rivers invite a slower rhythm, perfect for tubing, wading, or sitting on shaded banks. The Pedernales limestone bed forms natural slides and falls, like a handmade water park. It runs past former President Lyndon B. Johnson's ranch, adding historical depth. Pack water shoes and something to float on. Blanco State Park is great for families and beginners. Johnson City nearby is filled with charm, good eats, and antique stores that freeze time. Urban jewels, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Texas cities are where the wild meets the wired. Houston is a sprawling cultural beast, one of America's most diverse cities, with NASA and Vietnamese crawfish joints. Dallas is polished and powerful with world-class art museums and a booming economy. Austin balances innovation with nature. Paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake, shows on 6th Street, rooftop bars. San Antonio brings the soul with the Alamo, River Walk, and Missions. The art scene is growing fast in neighborhoods like Southtown and Pearl District. El Paso and Franklin Mountains. El Paso sits where Texas, New Mexico, and Mexico fold together, creating a unique cultural blend. The Franklin Mountains rise from the city like a prehistoric backbone. Franklin Mountain State Park is one of the largest urban parks in the nation, with hiking trails starting at your hotel doorstep. El Paso's cultural richness shines in its food, architecture, and music. Despite sitting on the border, it consistently ranks among America's safest cities. Perception and reality don't always align. Resilient Galveston and coastal escapes. Galveston is a coastal survivor, rebuilt after the 1900 hurricane with Victorian charm. Walking its streets feels like stepping into another century, where colorful mansions meet salt air. The seawall invites long walks and bike rides with sea spray. South Padre Island offers turquoise waters and sea turtle sanctuaries. Port Aransas adds fishing town charm with friendly locals and beachside cafes. Visit in shoulder seasons to dodge crowds and score cheaper stays. Texas State Capitol and cultural pride. The Texas State Capitol stands taller than its Washington, D.C. counterpart, a pink granite statement of independence and ambition. Touring reveals battle flags from the Texas Revolution and portraits of governors past. The grounds feature manicured gardens where locals lounge during lunch. The Capitol was paid for with land, over 3 million acres traded for construction, creating the legendary XIT Ranch. It often hosts cultural events and food trucks where tourists and locals blend. Cadillac Ranch, pop art in the prairie. 10 classic Cadillacs, buried nose first outside Amarillo, create one of America's most iconic roadside attractions. But this isn't just sculpture. It's permission to grab spray paint and leave your mark. Each car is layered in decades of graffiti, a living canvas that changes hourly. Built in the 1970s by artists called Ant Farm, it embodies the spirit of shaking things up. The only rule, respect the vibe and maybe leave it brighter than you found it. So now you know Texas isn't what you thought. It's not just about what's big and bold. It's about what's hidden, raw, and real. From ancient reefs turned into mountaintops to desert skies that feel like portals to the universe. Which secret spot are you heading to first? What part made your heart beat faster? These aren't just destinations, they're invitations, and most people will never answer them. But maybe you're not most people. Are you going to let this knowledge collect dust like an unused map? Or are you going to hit the road, feel the sand between your fingers at Monaghan's, stare into the Milky Way at Big Bend, and float through a cypress swamp in Caddo Lake like time never existed? These aren't just destinations, they're invitations, and most people will never answer them. But maybe you're not most people. Which one of these secret spots are you heading to first? What part of this journey made your heart beat faster, or your mind stop and wonder? Drop a comment and let me know. I want to hear your story, your plan, or even your dream road trip. Let's make this a space where explorers meet and inspire each other to look deeper. If you felt even a spark of something bigger while watching this, then subscribe right now. Hit that bell so you don't miss the next hidden chapter of Texas, or anywhere else the map doesn't want you to find, because we're just getting started, and the road ahead, it's calling.